Did Hans Niemann cheat? This is the question that the chess world has been asking, and we're going to attempt to answer this question. This is Hans Niemann, and we're about to find out, did he cheat? If you didn't know, there's the Sinquefield Cup going on currently September 1st through 12th, and one of these players was Hans Niemann. Now, Hans Niemann wasn't originally supposed to be in this tournament. Richard Rapport, another amazing chess player, was supposed to be in his place. However, he was unable to attend due to COVID restrictions, so Hans was his replacement. Now, Hans is a chess player who's become a much stronger chess player in the last couple of years. Still, he's nowhere near the strength of Magnus Carlsen, and so that's when he beat Magnus with the black pieces, it shocked the chess world. Basically, in chess, you don't really win with the black pieces at top-level chess. With black, you're trying to draw the game, or you may lose. However, the fact that he beat such a better player than himself, with the disadvantage of having the black pieces, is what shocked everybody. After this game, Magnus tweets, "I've withdrawn from the tournament, and I've always enjoyed playing in the Sinquefield Chess Cup, and I hope to be back in the future." Now, he puts this clip, "If I speak, I'm in big trouble." Now, it means he wants to say something, but he can't in fear of there being backlash. So, now here come the accusations against Hans. Basically, Hikaru is streaming and starts to speculate on what just happened. He starts with a mild take that perhaps Hans cheated, and that's why potentially Magnus withdrew from the tournament. However, after 15 minutes of speculating, he states that it's his opinion that Hans did indeed cheat, and that's why Magnus left. Now, it has been proven that Hans has used this fish in the past on chess.com. It's been talked about by Hikaru and Drew Tang, and there's a clip of Nepo over a year ago who also was talking about Hans cheating. Now, we're going to talk about the game that Hans and Magnus played at the end of this video. We're going to talk about if it's suspicious or not. So we'll talk about that later, but for now, let's move on. Now, we're going to talk about the game that Hans and Ali Firouzja played. So, Ali Firouzja said after the game ended in a draw. He said that he was totally perplexed by various decisions Hans made, and he completely missed multiple lines that Hans saw. He mentions that in the game, Hans's move queen to g3 was shocking to him. Now we're going to look at, by the way, after the game between Hans and Ali Reza, Eric Hansen gave his opinion. He said that Hans's analysis after the game was incoherent. Now we're going to look at the defense of Hans. Hans gave some interviews after each of the game, defending his position and what happened. Now, one person who defends Hans is Lavon. Lavon says that his peers are paranoid about chess cheaters and that Hans is in the clear. He doesn't think he was cheating. There's MVL. MVL says that from my side of things, I'm waiting for additional elements because, again, as of now, my feeling was that there was no cheating. GM Rafael Leito says that he did his own analysis and it shows that Hans played with no engine aid. This is GM Jacob Aragad, who is a well-known trainer and chess author who previously worked with Hans. And he published a very long blog post defending Hans and talking about his personal experiences training Hans, saying that I have seen nothing out of the ordinary in the last few days. Hikaru's coverage of the drum has been bizarre and ridiculous, and Hans' moves were nothing special, among many other things. You can read his blog if you'd like. Now, my question to Magnus is why hasn't he responded? Was his original intention really to say that Hans was cheating, or was there some other random reason that he withdrew from the tournament? I believe he did believe that Hans was cheating, because otherwise I feel he would have clarified this, but I still want an answer from Magnus in the future. Again, there's currently no evidence against Hans other than speculation, so at this point he is innocent. Now we're going to see who disagrees with Hikaru, some more people, and we're going to talk about this person, Laurent Fressen, Magnus's second. Now, he commented on the Hans situation on the Chicken Chess Club podcast. He says that he met Hans in Paris at a chess bar, where they played some blitz with Jules Massard, and he kicked their asses. Now, he says that he was very overconfident and thought he would become the next world champion. He's talking about Hans. So he wasn't surprised that he's a very strong player, and Hans is clearly 2700, he states. Now, this is Ben Feingold. He is also on Hans' side. He said that Hans didn't cheat and Magnus is in the wrong, basically. Former world champion GM Anatoly Karpov chimes in on the situation, saying that he watched the game last night versus Niemann, and he says that Magnus Carlsen just played extremely badly. Now, basically, they're innocent, and everybody's innocent until they're proven guilty. So now we're going to take a look at the chess game that Hans played, and we're going to talk about some of the drama that happened in the chess game and some things that Hans said in his interview. So without further ado, let's start that. This game showed that Hans was cheating. Let's find out. The game starts after d4, knight to f6, and we go into a Nimzo-Indian defense. Now, the game is pretty normal. Both sides develop, and after the move d5, there's an interesting move played by Magnus, a6. Now, this isn't really the best move because, well, it's not developing a piece, it's just kicking the bishop, and the bishop in the Nimzo-Indian wants to take that knight anyways. So, now, there would be nothing else about this move except that after the game is finished, in an interview about the game, Hans says that he looked at this line, a3, because Magnus had played it against Wesley So in the 2018 London Chess Classic. However, after people tried to find this game, they realized no such game existed, putting a whole lot of suspicion on Hans. However, there is a similar game entering a different line where Carlsen also faced Wesley So in Qualta 2019, and people think that's what he was referring to. And in a later interview, Hans did say he was talking about a transposed position, which the move a3 was played in a different move order. So this game put suspicion on Hans after he said that in the interview that he looked at this obscure line in the Nimzo-Indian, but it's plausible he could have been actually looking at this line. Now let's continue the game. Takes, and then after the middle game, basically, Black is up a pawn, but they can't keep being up a pawn because it's too hard to defend this c4 pawn. You can't really go like b5 because the knight moves and the bishop will try to win the rook. So they develop, they give up the pawn, and Hans plays the move e5. After the bishop pins the knight to the queen and it's trying to get kicked out, Magnus plays this move, rook to d1. However, after bishop attacks the queen, takes, and takes, in the end of everything, Black is better because these pawns are very nice. Yes, it's doubled and separated, but White has these weaknesses here, which are more easy targets. And the game proceeds, and eventually Magnus has to sacrifice a pawn with the move c4, and after takes, this is now in favor of Hans. He's not completely winning, but it's a very hard position for Magnus to play, and eventually Hans does beat Magnus. We're going to stop this here because otherwise this game goes on for a long time. However, if we get 5 subscribers from this video, I will make a continued analysis. So now let's move on to the next game Hans played, and then we'll talk about whether these games showed suspicion or not. We're going to move on to the Ali Reza Firouzja game. Let's take a look at this game that Hans played against Ali Reza, and let's see if there's any weird moves that could possibly indicate cheating. Okay, so we go into an Italian game, and the opening is very normal, mostly theory, and we get into this middle game where White has a strong center, but Black is going to attack it, obviously. We get into this position where this trade occurs, this pawn, and instead of trading the knights, we go like this, and the knights get traded on f3. Now, Black plays the move d5, and Hans brings his rook, pinning the pawn to the queen, so if takes, they lose their queen. So, after bishop to e6 and e5, the knight goes back, and now there's this weird and brilliant move, queen to g3, that is played by Hans. Now, the point of this move is that if takes their knight, and now he's just down a full knight, there's this move, bishop takes h6. The idea being that after this, you don't take the rook, because that's not good. You get, Black will get 2 minor pieces for the, just for the rook. But the idea is instead to go something like here, or it's to go like this. It's to potentially try to infiltrate, to put pressure, bring the rooks over, to do something to attack Black, because his king is so weak, there's nothing to guard the dark squares, and eventually you'll try to just checkmate Black. However, instead of this, in the game, we get the move king to h8, 8 because Alireza doesn't want to go into that complicated sort of game. But instead, now we have knight to d6, and basically this is a very nice knight because it's attacking stuff and it's very annoying for black. Is the move queen to g3 something that Hans found by himself, or is he potentially cheating? There's nothing brilliant about this move. He's a grandmaster, and it's very possible he just saw this. Alireza calls this move stunning or shocking to him in a post-game interview. So after we continue the game, the knight comes out, we bring the rook up, and then the next move after takes and knight to e4. Can you find what move Hans played that could potentially be cheating? It's rook takes the knight. The idea is that after takes and takes, white has a strong passed pawn and the king is weak, so there could be some sort of an attack in the future. The queen comes up, and now after bishop to d3 and bishop to f5, can you find the move that wasn't played in the game but was suggested by Hans as something he looked at that shocked a lot of the people who were listening in? The move was the move bishop to e5, the idea being that after the queen runs away, it needs to protect this mate with the queen and bishop on g7. The idea is you don't trade the queens, obviously. Instead, you play the move rook to g4. The idea being that if takes, then this is the queen is trapped. This wasn't seen by Alireza. This wasn't seen by most of the commentators, and it was a very sharp line that most people missed. This wasn't played in the game, though, and instead in the game what we got was here the rook retreated. After takes, this game ended in a draw. Basically what happened was black was able to consolidate with the rooks, and white's potential advantage with the passed pawn didn't go anywhere. Black's up material, but eventually they traded into an endgame, and the game finished like this. The game went on for a bit, but it ended in a perpetual check. So, in my opinion, Hans Niemann is innocent as of now because there's no real concrete evidence. It's just speculation. He is a great chess player compared to like 99.999% of people. So, thanks for watching. Unless there's further evidence that he's guilty, I'm going to say at this point he's innocent. Thanks for watching, and please subscribe.